Have you ever found yourself rushing through life, always chasing the next moment, the next achievement, the next distraction? You wake up already anxious about the day ahead, your mind racing with endless to-do lists, deadlines, and expectations. By evening, you're exhausted, not from physical labor, but from the constant mental struggle against the natural flow of existence. This is the modern predicament. We live in a world that has forgotten one of the most profound truths ever discovered by human consciousness, that peace doesn't come from control, but from learning to dance with life itself. The ancient Taoist masters understood something that we, in our frantic pursuit of progress, have largely forgotten. They knew that true strength lies not in forcing outcomes, but in yielding to the natural intelligence of the universe. Today, we're going to explore 7 Taoist habits that can transform your relationship with life itself. These aren't rigid rules or complicated techniques that require years of study. They're gentle practices, as natural as breathing, that can help you rediscover what it means to be truly alive in each moment. But here's the beautiful paradox that Alan Watts often spoke about. You don't need to go anywhere or become anyone different to find this peace. You don't need to retreat to a mountaintop or spend decades in meditation. The way is already here, flowing through this very moment, waiting for you to stop struggling and simply let go. But understanding, in our achievement-oriented society, we've been conditioned to believe that life is a problem to be solved rather than a dance to be danced. We approach each day like warriors going into battle, armed with our schedules, our goals, our determination to make things happen. But what if this very approach is what's keeping us from experiencing the joy and peace we're so desperately seeking? The Taoist masters observed something profound about water. Water doesn't struggle against obstacles, it flows around them. It doesn't force its way through rock, it patiently wears it away, drop by drop. Water always seeks the lowest place, yet it nourishes all life. This is the essence of Wu Wei, action through non-action, or as Alan Watts beautifully put it, the art of not forcing. The 7 habits we're about to explore aren't about adding more to your already busy life. They're about subtraction, removing the unnecessary struggle, the artificial complications, the mental noise that drowns out the quiet wisdom that's always available to you. If what I'm sharing resonates with something deep inside you, that quiet knowing that there's a more natural way to live, then you're not alone in this discovery. There's a growing community of people who are remembering these ancient truths and applying them to modern life. Consider subscribing to join us on this journey, not because you need more content to consume, but because sometimes it helps to walk this path alongside others who understand that the most profound changes often come through the gentlest practices. Now, let's explore these 7 transformative habits that can help you rediscover your natural way of being. The moment you wake up, your mind wants to leap into action. Thoughts about the day ahead, worries about unfinished tasks, the urge to check your phone. It's as if your consciousness gets hijacked before you're even fully awake. But the Taoists understood that how you begin your day sets the tone for everything that follows. This first habit is beautifully simple. Give yourself 5 to 10 minutes of complete stillness each morning. Not meditation with techniques or mantras, just pure being. Sit quietly, perhaps by a window where you can see the sky or trees. Don't try to think spiritual thoughts or achieve any particular state. Simply exist, reverent. In these precious moments of stillness, you're not preparing for the day, you're remembering who you are beneath all the roles you play and tasks you perform. You're reconnecting with that part of yourself that doesn't need to go anywhere or accomplish anything to be complete. When you begin your day this way, something remarkable happens. That quality of stillness doesn't disappear when you start moving. It becomes like a quiet lake inside you that remains calm even when the surface is disturbed by the winds of daily activity. Wu Wei is perhaps the most misunderstood concept in Taoism. Western minds often translate it as non-action and assume it means passivity or laziness. But Wu Wei is actually the most efficient and graceful way of moving through life. It's action that's perfectly aligned with the natural flow of circumstances. Imagine a skilled dancer. They don't fight the music, they become one with it. Each movement flows naturally from the previous one, creating something beautiful and effortless. This is Wu Wei in action. It's not about doing nothing. It's about doing exactly what's needed when it's needed, without force or struggle. To practice Wu Wei, start paying attention to when you're forcing outcomes. Notice the tension in your shoulders when you're trying too hard to make something happen. Feel the frustration that arises when reality doesn't match your expectations. These are signals that you've stepped out of the natural flow. The key is learning to recognize the difference between appropriate effort and unnecessary struggle. When you're typing an email, you apply just enough pressure to the keys, not too little, not too much. This same principle applies to everything in life. There's a natural amount of effort required for each situation, and Wu Wei is about finding that perfect balance. Start small. When opening a door, use only the force necessary. When speaking, match your volume to the space and situation. When walking, let your body find its natural rhythm rather than rushing or dragging. These tiny practices train your whole being to move in harmony with life itself. In our rush to get things done, we miss the profound beauty available in the simplest activities. Making tea becomes a quick chore to fuel our productivity. Washing dishes becomes an obstacle between us and relaxation. Cooking becomes a necessary inconvenience. But what if these ordinary moments held the key to extraordinary peace? The Taoists saw no separation between the sacred and the mundane. Every act, when performed with full presence and attention, becomes a form of meditation. When you make tea, you're not just preparing a beverage, you're participating in an ancient dance of elements. Water, heat, leaves, time. Begin to approach your daily tasks as if they were sacred ceremonies. When you wash dishes, feel the warm water on your hands. Notice the play of light on soap bubbles. Appreciate the simple miracle of cleanliness emerging from mess. When you cook, engage all your senses. Smell the onions as they caramelize. Listen to the sizzle of oil in the pan. Watch colors transform as vegetables cook. This isn't about being slow or inefficient. It's about being present. When you're fully here with whatever you're doing, you stop postponing peace until some future moment when all your tasks are complete. You discover that peace isn't somewhere else. It's right here, right now, available in the most ordinary activities. The magic happens when you realize you're not just washing dishes or making tea, you're practicing presence. You're training your mind to find joy and completeness in whatever is happening, rather than always reaching for something different. Your breath is always with you like a faithful friend that never leaves your side. But most of the time, you're completely unaware of this constant companion. The breath is your direct connection to the present moment and to the natural rhythm of life itself. The Taoists noticed that breath naturally follows the principle of yin and yang, inhalation and exhalation, expansion and contraction, receiving and releasing. When you tune into this rhythm, you align yourself with one of the most fundamental patterns in the universe. Throughout your day, whenever you notice tension, stress, or mental fog, return to your breath, not as a technique to fix or change anything, but simply as a way to come home to yourself. Feel the air entering your nostrils, filling your lungs, then naturally releasing without any effort on your part. Your breath is happening by itself. Your heart is beating by itself. Your cells are regenerating by themselves. There's an intelligence at work in your body that's far more sophisticated than your conscious mind. When you connect with your breath, you're tapping into this deeper wisdom. During challenging conversations, use your breath as an anchor. Before responding to a difficult email, take a conscious breath. When stuck in traffic, instead of fighting the situation, let your breathing help you settle into acceptance. Your breath is always available to bring you back to the flow of the present moment. Reverent nature is the greatest teacher of Taoist principles because it embodies them effortlessly. Trees don't struggle to grow, they simply grow. Rivers don't force their way to the sea, they follow the natural path of least resistance. Birds don't worry about flying, they trust the air to hold them. When you spend time in nature, even just a few minutes each day, you remember who you are beneath all the mental noise and social conditioning. You reconnect with the part of yourself that's as natural and spontaneous as the wind in the trees. This doesn't require hiking in mountains or spending hours in wilderness. Step outside and really look at the sky. Notice how clouds form and dissolve without any effort or planning. Watch how trees bend with the wind rather than breaking. Observe how water always finds its way around obstacles. Wise. Nature operates according to the Tao, the natural order that governs all existence. Liberating. When you align yourself with this order, life becomes less complicated. You stop fighting against natural rhythms and start moving with them. Let nature teach you its effortless way of being. Don't go outside to think about nature. Go to be with it. to let it work its quiet magic on your nervous system and remind you of the peaceful intelligence that's always available. Of all the sources of human suffering, perhaps none is greater than our attempt to control things that are naturally beyond our influence. We try to control other people's opinions, unexpected changes in circumstances, the pace of our progress, even our own thoughts and emotions. But life is like a river. It has its own intelligence, its own timing, its own direction. When you try to make a river flow uphill, you exhaust yourself fighting against forces infinitely more powerful than your personal will. The Taoist approach is to discover where the river is already flowing and move with it. This doesn't mean becoming passive or giving up on your goals. It means learning to distinguish between what you can influence and what you cannot. You can influence your actions, your responses, your choices. You cannot control outcomes, other people's behavior, or the timing of results. Start noticing when you're gripping too tightly. Feel the tension in your body when things don't go according to plan. Notice the mental energy you waste trying to force outcomes or convince others to see things your way. This tension is a signal that you've stepped out of alignment with the natural flow. Practice letting go in small ways. When someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of creating internal drama, simply adjust your route. When a plan falls through, look for the opportunity that might not have been visible before. When people disagree with you, allow them to have their perspective without needing to change it. True strength isn't about overpowering circumstances. It's about flowing with them so skillfully that you find opportunities where others see only obstacles. Gentle, just as you began your day in stillness, end it by releasing everything you've accumulated, the tensions, the unfinished conversations, the small frustrations that cling to your consciousness like dust on a mirror. Before sleep, take a few moments to review your day, not with judgment, but with gentle awareness. What did you resist today? Where did you create unnecessary struggle? What can you release before tomorrow arrives? This isn't about analyzing or solving problems. It's about consciously letting go of the day's accumulation so you can rest deeply and wake up fresh. Imagine exhaling not just air, but all the mental and emotional residue that no longer serves you. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to that I can release? Maybe it's a conversation that didn't go as planned, a mistake you made, or worry about tomorrow's challenges. Breathe out and let it go. Trust that holding on to these things doesn't help anyone. Not you, not the people involved, not the situations themselves. This nightly practice of release prevents the accumulation of stress and resentment that can build up over weeks and months. It's like clearing the screen of your consciousness so tomorrow can appear fresh and unencumbered by yesterday's drama. End each day by returning to gratitude for the simple fact of existence. You've been given another day of life, another opportunity to dance with whatever appeared. Whether the day felt successful or challenging, you showed up. You participated. You were present for your own life. As you begin to embody these 7 habits, something profound starts to happen. Realize that the peace and flow you're cultivating isn't just personal, it's your natural contribution to the larger harmony of existence. When you stop struggling against life, you stop adding to the world's collection of struggle. Every moment you spend in stillness sends ripples of calm into the collective consciousness. Every act you perform with presence becomes a small ceremony that honors the sacred nature of existence. Every breath you take consciously connects you to the breathing of all life. This is where Alan Watts' deeper teaching emerges. You are not separate from the Tao, you are an expression of it. The universe is not something you're moving through, you are something the universe is doing. When you align with this understanding, the question changes from, how can I control my life, to how can I dance more gracefully with the life that's already dancing through me? The habits we've explored are not techniques to acquire something you lack. They're ways of removing the obstacles to recognizing what you already are, a perfect expression of the same intelligence that moves the stars and grows the flowers. Observant, when you begin living according to these Taoist principles, others notice something different about you, though they might not be able to name it. You carry a quality of presence that's both calming and inspiring. Your responses come from stillness rather than reactivity. You move through challenges with a grace that seems almost magical to those still caught in the struggle. But you're not trying to be impressive or spiritual. You're simply being natural, and there's nothing more attractive or influential than someone who has remembered how to be genuinely themselves without apology or pretense. Your relationships begin to change. Instead of trying to fix or control others, you offer them the gift of your own peace. Instead of adding to the drama of misunderstandings, you respond from clarity. Instead of defending positions, you remain open to new perspectives. Realistic, This isn't about becoming perfect or never experiencing difficulty. It's about approaching whatever arises with the same natural intelligence that your body uses to heal a wound or your heart uses to beat without your conscious control. The ultimate gift of these Taoist habits is not any particular experience or achievement. It's the return to wholeness, the recognition that you don't need to become someone else or go somewhere else to be complete. You don't need to fix yourself because you were never broken. The anxiety, the rushing, the constant striving, these are not signs that you're inadequate. They're simply indications that you've temporarily forgotten your natural way of being. Like a river that has been dammed, you haven't lost your essential nature, you've only blocked the natural flow. These 7 habits are like removing the dam, one stone at a time. Each practice creates a small opening through which your natural peace can flow. Over time, these openings connect and expand until you remember what it feels like to move through life with the same effortless grace as water flowing downhill. We began this exploration by acknowledging the universal struggle of modern living, the constant push against the natural flow of existence. We've discovered that the antidote isn't more effort or control, but rather a return to the simple natural principles that govern all life. These 7 Taoist habits offer you a different way of being in the world. Begin each day in stillness, connecting with the quiet intelligence that doesn't need to go anywhere to be whole. Practice Wu Wei throughout your day, learning to move with life rather than against it. Transform ordinary activities into sacred rituals by bringing complete presence to whatever you're doing. Use your breath as a constant companion, returning you to the rhythm of the present moment. Connecting. Spend time in nature, letting it remind you of the effortless way life naturally unfolds. Release the exhausting need to control outcomes, trusting instead in the intelligence that's already orchestrating everything. End each day by letting go of what you've accumulated, clearing space for tomorrow's fresh possibilities. Start where you are, with what you have in this moment. Choose one habit that resonates with you and begin there. Let it be imperfect, let it be simple, let it be natural. Remember that you are not trying to achieve some future state of enlightenment. You are not broken and in need of fixing. You are already a perfect expression of the same force that creates galaxies and grows roses. These habits are simply ways of removing the temporary obstacles to recognizing what you've always been. The ancient Chinese had another beautiful concept, Tao, the virtue or power that comes from living in alignment with the Tao. This isn't moral virtue in the Western sense, but rather the natural radiance that emerges when someone stops fighting life and starts dancing with it. This is your invitation to discover your own Tao, not through force or discipline, but through the gentle, natural practices that help you remember who you are beneath all the noise and struggle. The path is not complicated. It doesn't require years of study or exotic techniques. Essence, it requires only your willingness to stop struggling and start flowing, to stop controlling and start trusting, to stop becoming and start being. The Tao is not something you need to find. It's something you need to stop hiding from. Present, it's here, now, in this breath, in this moment, in this very awareness that's reading these words. Your life is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived. These 7 habits are your invitation to step into that mystery with the wonder of a child and the wisdom of someone who has remembered that peace was never lost, it was only temporarily forgotten. The way is made by walking, and you've already taken the first step by opening your mind to a different possibility. Trust the process, trust the flow, trust the quiet intelligence that's been guiding you all along. The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao, but the life that can be lived in harmony with it. That is the most beautiful poem ever written, and you are both the poet and the poem itself. Welcome home to the natural way of being. Welcome home to the Tao. As we close this exploration together, I'm curious about your own relationship with these ideas. Perhaps one of these habits already calls to you, or maybe you've discovered your own ways of flowing with life's natural rhythm. If this conversation has touched something in you, I'd be honored to have you subscribe and continue this journey with us. And in the comments below, I'd love to hear which of these 7 habits feels most natural to you right now. Or perhaps, what does going with the flow mean in your own life? Your insights often illuminate aspects of these teachings that I haven't considered, and that's the beautiful thing about wisdom. It reveals itself differently through each person's experience. Until we meet again in the next exploration, remember, you already have everything you need. The way is made by walking, and you're walking it beautifully, one conscious